Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the NBA Front Office Show. That's right. Keith and I are officially back in this saddle. We were off yesterday. Ron Gutterman filled in with a video for us on Bradley Beal, which we'll talk about that a little bit today. But Ron filled in very nicely. Thank you all, viewers, for being kind to him. Let's get into. Well, I guess Keith. Let's start here. The piece you wrote on the Celtics, even as a Lakers fan, that was a fantastic piece. Great work there. Like obviously I'm not somebody who's going to support the Celtics or anything like that, but I felt the passion when I was reading that. You did a phenomenal job, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah, it was one of those where you start thinking of an
Hmm.
idea and then I know you've had this. And then if the game doesn't go a certain way, you're like, oh crap.
Yeah.
And there was a point where it looked like that may not be the way. I mean, they played without Jalen Brown, and then Aaron Nesmith, poor guy, finally gets his opportunity. In 5 minutes into the game, he sprains his ankle and he's out for the rest of the game too. So, but they dug in and they played really well. And yeah, if anybody's interested, you can check it out over at Celtics blog. The title is "A Team Boston Can Be Proud of," and it came out of a quote from Brad Stevens in the offseason, right before training camp started, where he basically said, I want to build a team Boston can be proud of. I want to build a team that's good, plays with a great edge, plays with grit and toughness, and it's, I think no matter what happens, win or lose the rest of the way, he's succeeded in that goal, and I think Celtics fans are having a lot of fun with this group. So, yeah, I'm happy. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
What
Thank you.
what a turnaround too on the season for the Celtics. I mean, there was a point where both of
Yeah.
our teams were in kind of the same predicament where things were not looking good. Fans were upset. The Celtics, I mean, they have taken off. My team chose a different path. They chose a very different path. Oh man, but
So it's just funny the way you phrased it. Chose a different
they
path. They were like, well, we could work really hard and be good, or we could just mail it in and not be
yes,
good. And
that's what
yeah,
we've seen.
I was say just behind the scenes here. I was telling Trevor watching their game last night. We're recording this Friday afternoon. We're watching their game on Thursday against the Clippers. There was a point where I was watching. I was like, Stanley Johnson's the only guy who literally cares out here. None of these other guys are all kind of going through the motions. And shortly after I had that thought, I think if I remember, Russell Westbrook had a huge drive and dunk, and
Mhm.
he's screaming and yelling, and I looked up from what I was doing, and I'm like, oh, but you're down like 28
Yeah.
points, and it was like, okay, I mean, sure, flex on everybody, yell at them, and tell them all about it, but that's if anything, a scoreboard moment there, and I'm happy for Reggie Jackson, BC guy.
Mhm.
I always root for Reggie Jackson, so happy to see him have a good
Well,
good night.
since we're on this topic, let's just check off these stories here while we're at it.
Sure.
Frank Vogel was asked last night about bringing Russell Westbrook off the bench, and he gave his standard. Didn't say he was going to do it, but did say that they've discussed everything. The coaching staff. It really has felt like. I mean, the Lakers have had it's either 30 or 31 at this point different starting lineups so far this season. The coaches are just throwing everything at the wall, trying to see
Yeah.
what sticks. And apparently, benching Russell Westbrook, which I mean, bringing him off the bench, which has been something Lakers fans have been saying for a while now, is legitimately something that's been discussed. I don't know that they actually do it, but it's something that they're considering.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could, because I mean, all signs are pointing to this is
Mm-hmm.
done after this
Yeah.
year anyway. He's not going to be on this team one way or another. So yeah, I mean, you could very easily say, go come off the bench, because if we lose you, difference doesn't make,
Mm-hmm.
right? I don't, I can't even imagine what level of Homer fan you would have to be to think like, nah, they're gonna be fine. They're gonna get AD and
Oh
they're gonna
no.
make a run. Like, I just can't imagine, even going there. I just, think about it, right? They're gonna have to play someone out of Phoenix, Golden
Mm-hmm.
State, and Memphis if they get into that first round. Maybe Utah, right? If Utah can really, put it together here. I can't imagine them beating any of those teams. Just that's even with AD and just given the problem. So yeah, why not bring Westbrook off the bench? Or the problem is, what are you turning to? Like what are you gonna do instead? That is, it's not like there's a young kid that it's like, just give all his
Mm-hmm.
minutes to this point guard who's sitting on the bench that could use him. I mean, kind of only got two developmental prospects on the whole roster, and they're already playing a good amount.
Yeah, I mean, you'd probably be running a bit more through Malik Monk,
Sure.
letting him just kind of go, and then Austin Reeves and Stanley Johnson. Those guys would be in there, but
Yeah.
again, you're just, at this point, they're just trying anything to see if something
Yeah.
will, wake these guys up and get them at least, being competitive or going out there to compete. But
Yeah.
as far as that whole situation goes, I think we will see a divorce here in the offseason. They will part ways between Russell Westbrook and the Lakers. On the flip side, Reggie Jackson, after the game, and he felt great. He had, not a surprise, he had a season high against the Lakers, which we've said many times before about many other players. But he said, "We have the best coach in the league." I think Ty Lue has very clear. I mean, look, Ty Lue is now 7-0 against the Lakers. They have become a greater than the sum of our parts team.
Sure.
And that's,
Yeah.
again, part of that is certainly credit to the players themselves, but you got to give credit to the coaching staff as well. Now, it may be hyperbole to say we have the best coach in the league, but still, I think Ty Lue deserves plenty of credit for what the Clippers have done based on what they've had injury-wise, what they've had to deal with.
Yeah, big time. I think you take away a team's best player in Kawhi Leonard all
Mm-hmm.
season. That's already right. You're going to knock them down some level of wins. Then you take away their second best player for a lot of the season and Paul George, you're going to knock them down even more. And I'm not trying to say the Clippers are great or
No.
anything like that, but they're winning games. Took them a little while, I think, to find the right lineup combinations, figure things out. We both really liked the Norman Powell
Yes.
edition. That lasted, what, a
Mm-hmm.
week? Then he got hurt and he's out
But
now
Covington
too.
has done
So
well.
yeah, Covington has done well. Yeah. And then, but I think getting Marcus Morris back, getting Nick Batum back, just getting some of those veteran guys back. And then I think full on saying, all right, hey, the Eric Bledsoe thing did not work. Didn't go the way we thought maybe it would. We're just going to give it to Reggie Jackson and play through him for as long as we need to while these guys are out. It's really turned things around quite a bit. And that's one of the more fun stories is the fact that that they're winning games and playing pretty good. Yeah, they're going to be a play-in team, but there was a point where I think we were talking, does this team even make the
Yeah.
play-in? Like, where's this going to go? And they're clearly very much going to be in the play-in tournament.
They're a team, like, let's say you're the Phoenix Suns, let's say you're the Golden State Warriors. Are you worried if you draw the Clippers in round one? No, but they're gonna be a pain.
Unless
They're gonna be well, yeah, okay, unless they
Yeah,
get healthy.
yeah.
Unless they get healthy. If they get healthy,
Sure.
then you're
Yeah,
going,
and
uh-oh,
that's a whole
right?
yeah,
But
yeah.
even
yes.
as is, they are not going to make life easy on you. They're going to be a pain
Nope.
in the butt to put away. And
Yep.
I think that's going to make for an exciting playoff series. Whoever, now again, I wouldn't expect unless the Clippers are healthy, I wouldn't expect them to advance. But still, that's a credit to the coaching staff and everything that you can be down two of the top players in the NBA and still be that kind of team where a top contender's looking at them going, "Oh man, okay, we got to bring it tonight, otherwise they're going to beat us."
Yeah, and that's exactly, you got to work
Mm-hmm.
against them. So yeah, definitely. Man, I'm getting so excited. We're a little over a month
Mm-hmm.
out from the playoffs. Only a little over a month left in the season here, about 5 weeks, and like it's these playoffs are going to be so good.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. Part of it is I can't wait because then that means the Lakers will be done. We don't have to talk about this team anymore.
Man,
But that's the world that we're living in right
what
now.
is it the kids say? You are down bad,
Yeah,
huh?
it's
Like,
definitely
isn't that- that's
been
what they
it's been
say.
it's become more my live shows have become more group therapy sessions than anything else. We've been talking quite a bit about mental health and stepping away and that type of that's where we're at right now in the season. We're counting down the games.
What we need to do is get somebody to monetize a thing where they do, well, what is it on YouTube? Super
Yeah.
chats, but the super chat fills a beer from a tap attached to your computer. Like, man, we'll retire at the end of the month,
If it-
off that if we can figure it out.
I would not be able to functionally make it through a show if that was the case, though. Either. I would-
I didn't say you have to be drinking. I meant your viewer.
Oh,
But, I mean, why
well,
not, right? Misery does love company.
yeah,
they say.
that the way I envisioned it was I get to. Okay, well, whatever.
Well, that's a whole different story. That's what I'm pinch hitting
Yeah.
on the show for you midway through as you
That's,
stumble to the back corner.
remember Harry Doyle, Major League. You take over,
Yeah.
Monty.
Yep. Nobody's listening anyway.
We're off the rails, Keith. We're off the rails. All right.
Yeah, that's it.
Bradley Beal is likely to stay with the Wizards. In fact, he said that it's fair to say that he is likely to stay with Washington. Makes sense. We've been saying all along that he's bought into what they're doing, and I think he's just him opting out is just to get a bigger contract financially. It makes all the sense in the world to opt out,
Mhm.
get a bigger contract here and then move forward from there. We've seen guys though do this, get a big new contract, and then say, "Hey, trade me." If it goes that route, I think
Sure.
then this becomes an even bigger topic whenever the next CBA negotiation comes up, which we're going to talk about in just a little bit. But I don't know if that's the path we're going to go down with Bradley Beal. I think he legitimately wants to win in Washington. This isn't going to be a pay me now and then I'll figure out my destination later type of situation.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think Bradley Beal, he has been very clear. He and his family enjoy living in Washington. His wife, who is fairly vocal on social media and the like, has made that clear at times. She doesn't want to go anywhere. And then he very much, I think, believes, kind of like Damian Lillard, of this is my team. Like, I'm the guy who's stuck it out, and I want to push things through. I want to be the one to help us win. So, yeah, my guess is he's going to take the same approach as Damian Lillard. I'm going to sign the contract under good faith of I'll be here. And then if we're 2 years in, no one will really fault me if I say, hey, it's time to, go somewhere else. And then, and that's almost like we've talked about a lot. That's almost in a sense can end up really good for the team because then you get a whole bunch of,
Yeah.
draft picks, young players, whatever the combinations are, and you can really start to rebuild around it. But yeah, my guess is he's probably excited, as was Dallas, to
Mhm.
have Kristaps Porzingis eventually, and some of the other guys that they have, and there's a path there where you can look at it and say, yeah, I can see this team getting back to the playoffs next year
Yeah,
if
I
they're
mean,
healthy.
they had so much success at the beginning of the season. There has to be this desire, maybe frustration that they haven't been able to recapture that, but at least that's there. You know that
Yeah.
you've got that sitting there as your
Yep.
ceiling, and so you've got that now as the bar's been set of okay, these are the heights we need to reach next season.
Yeah, yeah, I do think, and we'll obviously cover this in depth when we get into what they need this off season. We do the things. Sorry, the puppies have decided it is
WrestleMania.
afternoon playtime. Um, that's basically what's happening just off camera over here to my right hand side. Um, they got to
Mhm.
get a point guard, just somebody who can get their offense set, can get them moving in the right direction. Not the greatest summer for that, but there's always trades. Looking at some other teams, so let's see where that goes.
Speaking of new deals, Nikola Jokic, rumor is that he's going to sign a max extension with the Denver Nuggets. Not a surprise. I mean, if Jokic says,
Yeah.
"Hey, I'll sign a
Oh,
max extension," if you're the Denver Nuggets, you say, "Here's a pen. Here you go."
here's yeah, exactly. Hold on,
Yes.
let us print that
Yeah,
for you.
that's
Thank you.
that's a
Yeah.
no-brainer.
Yeah, I mean, I look at him
Hmm.
a lot like Giannis too. I always say this about a lot of these players too. We forget we often like to talk about
Hmm.
players going home to play. Um, for these guys like Giannis, like Milwaukee is home in the United States. Like it's the only home he's ever known. So for him to leave, that's leaving his home here in the US. And same thing with Jokic. Like Denver's the only place he's known, here in the US. So for him to leave, and of course the Nuggets are going to do everything they can to keep him. I mean, he's great. And you can see Jokic like being good for like another five,
Yeah.
6, 7 years at least at this level, because none of his game is predicated at all on athleticism. It's all just strength and skill for him, and it's awesome to watch. So yeah, I'm no shock there, and that team's just their whole thing is at some point there's going to be a breaking point of how expensive they
Yeah.
can be, and they're gonna be pretty pricey
And
starting
this
next
this
season.
goes back to a discussion that we had, I believe it was a few weeks ago. The concept that perhaps foreign-born players are less likely to want to leave their original teams because they didn't grow up playing AAU ball with a lot of these other guys. So that draw of,
Hmm.
oh yeah, I've got this friend of mine since we were 12 years old. Let me go over and join a team with him. Maybe that lure. And again, this is if we're
Yeah.
talking Giannis and Jokic, two guys. That's a small sample size, of course. So it's something that would require a much bigger study to draw any kind of conclusion for. But just interesting when we talk about Giannis and Jokic both being guys that decide to
Yeah.
stay in their home market. Maybe there is something to that concept.
Yeah. And considered to be smaller markets too, right? Like not the big glamour markets as well. So yeah, no, and I think it's good for the NBA.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's keep these guys where they are.
Malcolm Brogdon would like to play for the Polish national team. That one caught me by surprise. I didn't realize that there was a connection to Poland with Malcolm Brogdon, who I still think, when he's healthy, he is an underrated player in this league. People don't realize how good he really is.
Yeah, and this is something we've seen over the years. Some of these guys who are um they're probably never going to
Mhm.
make Team USA. So if they want that national team experience, if they want to get into the Olympics or the World Cup, they'll sometimes find a connections to play for a team on the international level, and I think that's I think that's kind of cool, because I'm all about like let's watch these major tournaments with
Mhm.
national teams. I want to see guys I know. I want to see guys out there that are doing stuff and make the games really competitive, and I think it's I think it's really good. And as long as it's not one of those things where he's bumping somebody who really should be there that, grew up dreaming of playing for the Polish national team, there's no issue for that at all. And they're a nation that's
Mhm.
coming along. They're starting to, do some stuff. They've got a kid, I think you say it, Jeremy Sochan. He plays for the Baylor Bears. He became their youngest player ever at, I believe, is a World Cup qualifier. He had a pretty big game for them. So we see how much those things mean to these guys. So yeah, good for Malcolm Brogdon. Brogdon. If I was the Pacers, I might be a little bit like, man, through an NBA season without getting hurt. Like, why are we going to add a whole extra month worth of work on you? But that's something you sort out when you get to it.
Keith, I don't know what to say here, man. I had a conversation the other day with Ron Gutterman, and we were talking about deep dives into NBA players, especially like deep on rosters and stuff like that. And I said, yeah, Keith and I joke all the time. I'm like, I know pretty much every guy that's on an NBA roster. There's a few guys maybe at the end of a bench where, okay, I didn't catch that guy play much, or that guy's name might be unfamiliar. I said, but Keith will pull like G League names on me, and he could be completely making them up, and I would have no idea. He's just pulling create a character or something from 2K, and I have no idea because it's a G League guy. Now you're going into the Polish national team and pulling players off of there. I don't even know what to say.
I mean, I only really know it because he was mentioned in the article. Plus, I've been trying to watch college when I can, and he does play a decent amount for Baylor, so I was able to learn a little bit more about him through that. But no, it's I mean, yeah, this is if anybody knows where my head is at or was questioning it,
It's with the Polish
we all
national
know.
team.
Yeah.
The NBA denies a report that they are looking at expanding. Now, I'm trying to, maybe you can shed some light on this. I'm trying to wrap my head around this. In terms of denying a report of expanding, wouldn't it be better just to give kind of a no answer than denying it? But from the owner's perspective, it feels like expansion. And we've talked about how from a talent perspective, it makes sense too. We feel like the NBA is there to look at a place like Las Vegas, a place like Seattle. Of course, Seattle probably being in the prime position. Why would the NBA deny that they're looking at this?
Yeah, I think it's probably, my guess is more just a, hey, there's nothing going on
Okay.
today
Yeah.
kind of thing. Like, let's not get people in Seattle super excited and then they're
Sure.
back yelling, at the NBA of like, hey, why have you not announced the team yet? Why have you not announced the Sonics are back or anything like that? And I think it's more of, this is probably a big chunk of it is the NBA wants to control their own message, right? That they always do, especially with
Mm-hmm.
something this big. And I think we're all understanding Seattle, yes, will be a team. The second team, though, I think they're gonna really put this
Mm-hmm.
to bidding and see. A lot of people think it'll be Las Vegas. I personally don't have a ton of stake in this. I kind of want it to be two West Coast teams just because I think that would
Mm-hmm.
rebalance the league a little bit better as far as TV
Move
windows and
like
those kind of
Memphis or
things.
Minnesota or something
Um,
like that east. Yeah.
yeah, probably Memphis or really use this opportunity to really kind of rethink that whole
Mm-hmm.
process of the way we do divisions and conferences and all that. But yeah, I do think that there is I do think it's coming. And the Seattle mayor basically said he came out in that same report, which came out of Seattle, where it was the NBA said, no, there's no truth to that. The mayor basically said, yeah, we're talking all the time. And I talk about to people, about it all the time. And basically I feel really good about our opportunities. So, I think it's just got to be a matter of time. There's just too much money to be made to not do it for everybody.
And that makes sense as far as controlling the messaging. It's Tom Brady's retiring. Oh no, wait. Tom Brady says he's not retired. He hasn't announced anything yet. Oh, okay, wait. Now he's retiring, right? They want to be the ones to say it.
Yep.
Makes sense.
I always think the Gordon Hayward thing, right? Mm-hmm. Chris Haynes reports it in the morning, 4th of July, and then comes out, nope, no decision's been made yet. And then, hours later that day, there's a, Players Tribune piece that's, after we all sat there and refreshed Gordon Hayward's own, broken GeoCities website ourselves for, hours on end. Looked like a 7th grade class made it in 1998. But yeah, it was, it's, that's what I always think about. Mm-hmm. People want to control their message.
Ruined so many 4th of Julys for us, but
right, and we're back.
That's right. We're back on that schedule this year.
Thankfully, it's a bad free agent class, so maybe.
I was wondering, when word broke, did Gordon Hayward just go, "Oh crap, I got to write that," and just sit down and write really fast and get that thing? I don't know. I wonder what stage that was at when word broke.
Like your former students cramming their paper for you last minute, and I know you can tell.
Oh, I absolutely could tell. Could always tell. I'm not saying that's what Gordon Hayward did. You wrote beautifully, Gordon. DeAndre Jordan heading to the 76ers. Now, I actually cleared waivers, and we talked about this the other day about him maybe getting claimed off of waivers, and maybe that would make sense. Obviously, it would have helped from the Lakers from a financial perspective. Didn't happen that way, but he is indeed going to wind up with the 76ers, which is no surprise to anybody. We've already discussed why that kind of makes sense, but also not something you should be super excited about if you're Philadelphia. But still, it's going to happen. He'll be a Philadelphia 76er.
Yeah, and they'll release Willie Cauley-Stein early from his 10-day contract to create that roster space.
All right. Unfortunate news out of Brooklyn. Joe Harris will be out for the season. We heard a rumbling of this, what was it, about a week or so ago, that he might need another procedure. Now we get the confirmation that he will indeed miss the remainder of the season. That is a blow for the Nets. Obviously, they've dealt with a number of injuries this year. Still plenty of top-end firepower there. But, this is one of the best floor spacers in the NBA, one of the best shooters in the league. And so missing him, it's going to hurt.
Yeah, and this is just more missed opportunity for whenever Ben Simmons plays to figure out what your combinations are moving forward, because presumably Joe Harris will be part of that. Now, maybe Joe Harris is a guy who maybe his contract becomes one that's packaged with another one to go get you something else you think you need. But yeah, it's just, you want to, we say it all the time, you want as much shooting on your roster as you can get going into the postseason, and now you're going to be down, a little bit. Now they have Seth Curry, they have Patty Mills, they've got, their guys, but it's, it's a little bit of a bummer. And I really like Joe Harris too, because I always think about with Joe Harris, he was a guy who looked like he was going to be out of the league. He was salary dumped by the Cavs to the Magic. Then the Magic just straight were like, yeah, we don't even want this guy. Never even, really reported here. And then he was part of, I call it the diamond mining process that Sean Marks went through. When Sean Marks took over the Nets front office, I always loved his approach of, I'm not going to talk about the draft picks we don't have, because we don't have them. It's sunk cost. There's no point in spending time on that. We have to build this up. And he really took that approach of they cycled through player after player on 10 days and short-term deals and all this stuff. And that's how they found Spencer Dinwiddie and Joe Harris both. Two guys who had been cast off. So, I'm hoping, get his ankle right, get him back out there, and, let's see where it goes.
Positive injury news. Victor Oladipo will be back on Monday for the Miami Heat. So good to see him back in action. I don't know how much of a boost he provides here. We'll see what he can do health-wise. He's I believe it was a 2-time All-Star. So we'll see what he can provide. But just good to see him getting back and healthy and back out on the floor.
Yeah, it just gives them
Mhm.
another guy, right? Another depth guy, another guy who can, kind of play a combo guard role for them, maybe off their bench along with Tyler Hero if needed. I mean, Miami just keeps, they just keep plugging along. I mean, last night they played with, goofy lineup, Bam
Yep.
Adebayo starting with Omer Yurtseven and no Lowry, no Butler, and they still won. I mean, they're, just really, really good team in
They
Miami.
still won despite Kevin Durant going nuts, and Tyler Hero went
Yeah.
for 27. I mean, he had a phenomenal night. So
Mhm.
this is a team that just they find ways to get it done. So there they are, still sitting at the top of the East.
Speaking of that, man, KD, man, that guy just like rolls out of bed and drops 40.
Like,
Right?
oh,
Like
first
it's
game back
nothing.
from injury,
Like it
no
just,
big deal.
yeah, yeah, he's
Yeah.
unreal. Unbelievable how
We
good
are,
he is.
it's funny. Sometimes we see so many fans who get into this player versus this player, and this player is so much better because this guy sucks, and just tearing players down. We even see this from former players who just want to like take shots at the
Hmm.
current crop. Sometimes you just got to step back and you got to say, there is so much talent in this league. It's so
Yeah,
amazing.
so good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Really, this is as deep as
Yeah,
the league's ever been
it's
in
incredible.
talent. I mean, yeah, yep.
Rumor coming out that the Mavs were looking at a deal with the Raptors for Kristaps Porzingis. Of course, we know they ultimately traded him to the Washington Wizards and got Spencer Dinwiddie in the trade. Dinwiddie has done some things for them, as well as Davis Bertans, but they were looking at a deal with the Raptors that would have sent Porzingis to Toronto in exchange for Goran Dragic, who obviously went to the Spurs in a different trade, and Gary Trent Jr. So what are your thoughts on that? Are you surprised that that didn't get done?
No, I don't think the Raptors
Yeah.
would want to go that way. I think if it was, we can get rid of Dragic plus guys who Porzingis is
Hmm.
clearly an upgrade over Precious Achua, Chris Boucher, Ken Birch, guys like that. I think then that would have made sense. But moving Gary Trent doesn't make sense. He's a big part of the way they've built that team out, where their whole thing is we're gonna put anywhere from 3 to 5 really good tough defenders on the floor at all times and make it really hard for you to score against us with long, quick, athletic, strong guys. And I mean, Porzingis is long, but that's about it. That's about the only thing he
Hmm.
connects with there. Now, yeah, maybe his offensive upgrade would have been big enough. He clearly would have been better than any big on the roster that isn't,
Sure.
Siakam, Anunoby, Barnes, kind of playing as bigs. But yeah, I'm not surprised. I think if Masai's going to make that trade in that chip, it's going to be for a bigger move. I think he's looking for not literally bigger because it's hard to get bigger, but bigger in
And
terms of
more of a
impact.
known quantity because of the availability issue with Porzingis. If you're
Yes,
if you're going to cash that chip, you're
that's a
going to
good
get
point too.
somebody that
Yep.
this is a guy that's going to be the guy for us or one of the top guys for us for the foreseeable future. And you can't
Yeah.
say that with Porzingis.
Yep.
Your Celtics. Sauce Castillo,
Stauskas?
Nick Rocks, man,
Stauskas?
Nick
Nick
Rocks.
rocks,
God,
baby.
that. Oh, Sacramento. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just go search it on YouTube. Sacramento's draft from that year. I don't remember exactly the year. It was like what 2010 or
uh,
something like
yeah,
that.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, they all yelled Nick Rocks on speakerphone to Nick Stauskas. Yes, it
Very
was awkward.
uncomfortably.
Anyway, as the kids would say, it was cringy. Nick Stauskas gets a 2-year deal with the
Yes.
Celtics. Now, I haven't looked it up because I know you would know this. Is the second year non-guaranteed? What does that look like?
It's going to have some non-guaranteed money in it. So probably, likely, my guess is it'll be non-guaranteed with a partial guarantee with a trigger date, probably sometime midsummer, early summer, and then they'll go from there. Probably look a lot like the deal,
Hmm.
2-year deal Jabari Parker signed a year ago. That's pretty common at this time of year. It's a way to, hey, we're going to give you what we can the rest of this year, then we're going to tack a little bit on guarantee next year, but not so much that it becomes man, now we got to keep you
Right.
because that number's too big.
All right.
So,
I mean,
yeah,
bringing a shooter. I mean, he had what like 100 points in the G League
yeah,
in 2 games. So
100 exactly. Yeah, 57 and 50, 40, 57
wow.
and 43 in back to back G League games. And in the Celtics, I mean,
Mhm.
they need more shooting. They signed Sam Hauser from a two-way, moved him over. They picked up Matt Ryan, not that one, a different one, a basketball one, on a two-way. He's a forward with some range, and now they added a guard with a little bit of range. And it might not be a stretch to see Stauskas play sooner rather than later, because I said it earlier, Jaylen Brown's out with a sprained ankle, maybe return over the weekend, but Aaron Nesmith may be out for a little bit, and they're starting to get a little thin on the wing. Grant Williams played most of the game at the three for the Celtics, and he's generally more of a 4-5 in their lineup. So that's that's where it was at against Memphis. You get away with that because Memphis tends to go a little bit bigger, but it's that's tricky. You don't want to be in that position for too long. So yeah, I think this is a good no risk look at a player.
And if you're going to take a shot on something, why not shooting? Just in general across the NBA.
Yeah.
Drew Eubanks, who's been starting for the Portland Trailblazers, gets a second 10-day deal with them. Obviously, he's been in the starting lineup, so not a surprise that they do sign him to another 10-day.
Yeah, homecoming, went to high school in Oregon, played at Oregon State, playing there. My guess is he'll probably eventually sign for the rest of the year with the Blazers, because I don't think we're going to see Yusuf Nurkic back this season unless they're really kind of hanging around that playing spot. Then maybe.
Lastly, James Wiseman is unlikely to be part of the Golden State Warriors rotation. Both you and I had said that maybe he could give them a little bit of a boost there, so that's a little bit surprising. Their guy here that we thought they might be able to even cash in on him and move him in a trade this offseason. And now he's back and not really going to be part of the rotation right now.
Yeah, this was a report out of ESPN by Kendra Andrews, who's their Warriors beat writer, and she talked about that Wiseman is, she talked to a coach, and that coach said it's unlikely. I do wonder, maybe let's keep a little bit of pressure off this kid. Yeah. Let's not, let's keep these expectations extremely low and go. And maybe he shows up and he does look pretty good in whatever minutes they give him and go, because I believe if he can't give you 10 to 15 minutes, like just of okay basketball, boy, that's your one super high draft pick that you had and you blew it. Like you got to get there with this guy. And I'm a big believer in his talent. I think he can play. I really think, he'll figure it out. Maybe it's not with the Warriors. Maybe it's just too much pressure for a kid to break into that rotation. But I do think that there's a chance he'll figure it out.
Fortunately, the Warriors still have plenty of firepower even without him, but they could certainly use, I think, another big. And so maybe at some point before the playoffs roll around, he plays his way into 10 minutes a night, 15 minutes, something like that.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at. Like, I think there's a chance that's where this gets to, and they're just going to do everything they can to kind of keep, no pressure, right? When you get back, you just do your thing, and we're not looking for anything, beyond that. So let's see where it goes.
I think that's it for us today. Everything that I've got on my list here to cover. Keith,
that's it.
We're going to head off into a weekend. I'm going to watch some MLS soccer this weekend. I'm going to check some of that out for sure. And I've got my daughter's very first ever soccer game tomorrow. I'll be coaching from the sidelines. I am hoping I'm going to try to be on my best behavior and not get thrown out of the game. I'm going to be protesting calls, that's for sure, with 4 and 5-year-olds on the field.
No, I love it, man. This is going to be great. It's still... Those are my favorite years from our daughter playing. I mean, I love watching her still today, but yeah, those years were just so fun. So yeah, enjoy every second of it. It's such a special
I am going
time.
to enjoy watching some bumblebee ball. It's just a swarm around the ball and then moves around the field. It's going to be fun. All right, everybody. Hope you have a great weekend. Thank you for joining us. Make sure you do subscribe right here to the NBA Front Office YouTube channel. Turn on those notifications and give us that 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts. Really does help us out. Till next time, everybody. See ya and stay safe.